right, viewers, thank you very much for joining us for another interesting edition of Morning Cafe on the Informant 247 TV. Yes, my name is Yemi Sadiq. I am your humble host. I want to sincerely thank you once again for joining us. As you know, on the program, this is where we give you information, give you up to date analysis, and of course, we also discuss events happening around the world. We help you make sense of some of this important information to get you not only informed, not only educated, and not even not only entertained, but inspired. And we help you make the best of decisions, giving some of the information that will be given to you on the show. Yes, I have an important guest in the studio. Yes, I had to pull her out from. Leave, and then she's going to be talking about something that is very, very dear to our mind. Yes, it is silent war, and she has been at the front line for many years. And this more today we're going to be talking about it. And before we go to the discussion segment, let's quickly run through some of the major news headlines that we have across the front pages of our newspaper. Yes, let me quickly go to the Punch newspaper where we have this that the banner headline there is that the Tinubu has declared President Tinubu declares emergency as National Assembly rejects bandit negotiations, and the rider there is Senate reps hot talks with bandits. Criticism mounts over rising insecurity, massive military recruitment begins. This is also as the president has declared the state of emergency and asking that there should be massive recruitment into the military, uh, both the army, both the navy, both the police, and other critical military formations. Yes, ECOWAS, African Union condemned military takeover in Guinea-Bissau. Still in Punch newspaper, there was a coup in Guinea-Bissau yesterday, and it's quite unfortunate that the wave of military incursions into democratic settings continues across Africa. Yes, Mahmoud spent ransom share on cars, luxury trips. That is a very another very important update that we have this morning, and it's coming from the ongoing trial of one of the negotiator, if you want, between the bandits and the federal government. The President Tinubu has also sent three ambassadorial nominees to the Senate for confirmation. Yes, the ambassadorial nominees, you understand, are going to be taking charge of the Nigerian diplomatic missions in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and France together. Let's quickly go to the Nation newspaper this morning and tell you that the banner headline that we have there is emergency on security. Tinubu okays state police. Yes, the whole conversation about state police seems to have gotten to a very definite end now, as the President Bola Tinubu himself has okayed, has given directive for state police to go ahead, and now the balls now falls to the state governors to perhaps do the needful. National Assembly to amend law, military and police to recruit more men. Ex-DSS DG, ex-NIA boss, envoy tipped as ambassadors. And also, let's tell you that Senate has passed resolution for citizens to own firearms. I know you want to definitely hear that, but you have to go to the Nation newspaper to read more details about that. Senate passes resolution for citizens to own firearms. The last of the newspaper that we're going to be talking on is the Guardian newspaper. Yes, let's tell you that in that particular newspaper, one of the headlines we have there is that the ADC negotiation with bandits or terrorists defies sustainable fight against insurgency. And that is coming from the opposition party ADC this morning. The federal government secures fresh $500 million loan from the AFDB, that is African Development Bank. And we go for a short break now. When we come back, we'll get down straight to business, and Barrister Antonia Oshinewe is here to talk to us on a very, very important topic. Don't go away, stick around with us. right, welcome back, and thank you for joining us. I have in the studio earlier on, as I said, Barrister Antonia Omenogo Oshinewe. I hope I got that right. I
Yeah, you
mean,
did.
for the opting time, I
You
just have to
did.
learn how to pronounce this name. She's the executive director of the Theos Caregivers Initiative. She's a human rights advocate, and she's a legal practitioner of repute. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm sorry I had to pull you out of your
No,
leave,
no problem.
but I'm sure you're passionate about it, and you have been on the
Yeah.
front line when we talk about human rights, advocacy, gender advocacy, and a whole lot of it. I thank you very much. We're going to be discussing this very important topic, domestic violence in Nigeria and the way forward. I mean, you have been on the front line for as long as only God knows, but it seems that there's this rise in domestic violence in Nigeria. I mean, the statistics are really troubling, and the patterns are also leaving us with no options. The only option that perhaps all of us believe should have actually, helped us to address this is the Violence Against Persons Prohibition, the VAP Act, which was enacted in 2015. But it seems that the law itself is not really doing enough. And let me start by asking you, what is the overview of domestic violence in Nigeria as we stand today in 2025? I mean, we are in
Uh,
November and the year is almost rounding up.
Thank you very much once again for having me. From my own perspective, I would I would say the overview of gender-based violence in Nigeria is it's an everyday affair now
Mm,
because even when I told you that I was on leave, there's no single day that we don't have a case. Now you can imagine me as an entity, just me,
mm,
having a case reported to me every day. You can imagine every other advocate on the field
mm,
in Kwara State, in Ilorin alone,
mm,
before we look at Kwara State, before we look at Nigeria as a whole.
mm.
So gender-based violence has actually become a menace in Nigeria. I think a state of emergency also needs to
Needs
be
to be
declared
declared
on
on the
gender-based violence,
gender-based
not
and,
only
and
insurgency
domestic
alone.
based
It's really
violence.
something is of great concern.
It's unfortunate, and let me quickly say the numbers that we have here. This is coming from the United Nations that the latest femicide report revealed that intentionally 85,000 women and girls were intentionally killed in 2023. That's very disturbing. And most of these women, 60% of them, uh, 51,100, had their intimate partners or members killing them. That's how close it is, and that is how troubling it is. If the violence itself is not really happening outside the wall of your own house or household, it's happening from people within each other. I mean, what do you have to say about the numbers itself?
Well, I would actually say that's actually not the number because the unfortunate thing is
I mean,
for
that was
every yes,
2023.
that's 2023. For every 10 reported cases,
Mm.
there are 100 that are not reported. So we're even getting
What,
these
what, what,
numbers.
what, why?
The societal norm, the shame, the stigma. We are in a society that we stigmatize our survivors. We don't even call them victims again. But okay, for the purpose of people understanding, let me use the word victim.
Mm.
One of the terms we decide to use for to go against stigmatization is calling them survivors instead
Mm.
of calling them victims.
Mm.
We stigmatize them. You can imagine a situation where a woman is being beaten,
Mm.
and when the woman wants to talk, the family comes to say you don't have the right to say anything. The woman is scared because even her own immediate family are against her.
Mm.
The family of the husband are against her.
Mm.
So the question is, if she comes out to talk, who is going to support her? So for every 10 reported cases, we
Mm.
have tens of cases that
That
are
are not
not
reported.
reported. So even this figure we're talking about, as high as we're looking at it,
Mm.
is actually those that are being reported.
Well, for the National Human Rights Commission, the dashboard and what we have as at May in Nigeria is that There were 3,361 cases of domestic violence and 1,152 incidents of sexual violence as of 2025 May this year. That is the number, at
That's the
least for
human rights
Nigeria,
for
coming from the
Nigeria.
National Human Rights Commission. I mean, the number keeps increasing, and only God knows what might have happened between May and November that we
November.
are now. I mean,
Yeah.
I sent you a link to a very disturbing incident,
Story. Yeah.
which also perhaps mirrored the trend of the I mean domestic violence, and it appears that it is not a one-way thing. It happens to, of course, at the receiving end of it all, mostly are women and children. But it appears that we also have men at the receiving end, although that might not really be on the high side. What do you have to say about that?
Well, another reason why we don't have much cases about men, it's because it's strange. I could remember the first time I had a scenario of a woman beating her husband
Mm.
was like 10 years ago. I was in Ibadan and I was in an office and the man came bruised, crying. I was expecting probably he had a fight
With
with
somebody else.
somebody. And when he had to talk, I just heard him saying, "My wife." Even me, as an advocate, I had to look at him like, I don't get,
Mm.
why would your wife beat you? So that's another factor. Men will hardly come out. I've had cases in the Ilorin where men had spoken to me in confidence that they were being abused by their. I've had cases where I've seen men being bruised, being beaten by their wives
Battered.
in a Ilorin,
Mm.
but it had to be in confidence because they don't want to come out because everybody feel, oh, you're a weak man.
Mm.
How can your wife be beating you?
Mm.
But I tell people, is the wife not human being?
Mm.
Like some of us that grew up learning taekwondo, growing up as kids.
Mm.
So you think if I want to face a man, and if I have a man that probably grew up being a butter guy, you think if we not get married and something happen, you think I won't be able to beat the man?
Mhm.
But our men will not come out to talk because of this ego. It's somehow, how would you come out to say your wife has beaten you?
Or
But
has
the
abused
reality,
you. Mm.
the reality is it is happening. It is happening to our men too. But of course, it is the women that come out to talk, to shout, "Hey, my husband has beaten me. Hey, emotional violence. Hey, all this." So that's why, and everybody see women as more vulnerable.
Yeah.
But honestly, in the society we are today, I don't see women as more vulnerable. I don't see.
Why?
I refuse to see women as more vulnerable because women have been, women have been trained. Let me add it negatively, mentally.
Socially conditioned.
Yes. So over the time when you say, "Oh, a woman cannot talk," now there are a lot of things. So they are not even vulnerable again, and that's why we have more cases of women attacking their husbands.
But I think talk is not really enough because, as you said, there are still many victims that remain silent. And so my question is that what kind of system that can we actually put in place? Maybe government, maybe as an advocate that you are, that we encourage people to actually report this, and maybe somehow you say that you made mention of the fact that some wouldn't always like this to be blown out. Is there any way that it can also be done, perhaps in confidence and maybe diplomatically, and at the end of the day people don't really have to actually to deal with the stigma that comes with it, and we perhaps have the problem itself solved?
Hmm. That's actually a big challenge. Like you said earlier, we have a law in place.
Mm.
Kwara State, for instance, has the VAP law in Kwara State.
Mm.
But why is this law not effective? It's not as if we can't implement this law.
Mm.
But the question is, why is it not effective? The cause is you and I. Yes, why did I say you and I? I did a case recently and a child was battered. And it was the mother of the child that came begging, pleading
That
that should allow the person that battered her son to go because is, let me use the word, olore, my helper or something like
benefactor.
that. You understand, my benefactor. So that's why I said the cause is actually you and I. For every case that happens,
Mm.
there's always, like you said earlier, it's very hard for you to see a case of gender-based violence that is not intimate. And what I mean by intimate is not
Yes.
man and wife
Yes,
alone.
yes.
Is either father to daughter, father
Mm.
to son, mother to daughter,
Daughter.
brothers and sisters,
Mm.
because it is only somebody that is close to you
That truly.
that would attack you. It is very rare, except if we have few cases of probably armed robbery, and even the armed robbery. By the time some cases of armed robbery that we've had, by the time investigation goes, you
And
find out that somebody has linked.
mm.
You understand? So
Mm.
there's always a connection
Mm.
with someone that is close to you. Now that closeness, that societal thing is the problem we have. Everybody comes and say, "Oh, what would the society say?" I remembered most times when I have to handle cases in the lorry, there was a time I had to shut some set of people up because when they came, they said, "Shey I know Ilorin, we are room and parlour."
Mm.
And I said, I might not be from Ilorin
Mm.
by virtue of my origin,
Mm.
but I had spent over 4 decades in Ilorin,
Mm.
so I can stand boldly to qualify myself as an Ilorin indigene
Mm.
by the constitution.
Mm.
So you cannot tell me something terrible is being perpetrated and you are telling me, "Shey I know Ilorin, we are room and parlour." I said,
But
no.
because there's another underpinnings to this, and I want you to, if you have a telling experience,
Okay.
I would like you to share it. That you are about to, you said that you have been able to perhaps stand against the societal norm.
Yeah.
So what kind of case did you actually have to deal with, and how perhaps were you able to rise above
Okay.
it?
Number one, I have zero tolerance to sexual abuse. I have zero tolerance to sexual. Once it is sexual abuse, I have zero tolerance to it. For instance, let me give you like the case I just spoke about. It has to do with a clergy
Mm.
maltreating a child,
Mm.
and that's another thing we need to look at. Where we think we find succor, it's a big problem. Our clergies.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking about our clergies, I'm talking about our pastors and our imams. I will say it boldly. For every 10 cases I have 5 to 6 that are clergy, either a pastor or
Or an
imam.
imam.
The pastor is known for rape. Imams is both rape and beating because of the Islamic school, which we're also trying to go into. You can as well. We can't say children will not be taught their religion. You can have an Islamic school without beating children,
Of
and they
course.
will understand. So why treat a child like a goat? Because you want the child to understand religion, and you believe that child will understand that religion. No, the child will not understand the religion. For our Christian pastors, it's so unfortunate. We have a lot of them. We have a lot of cases in court today that they are pastors and they are in court for rape, for sexual molestation. So my question is, if our religious leaders, because initially when I started my campaign, we were looking at going through the religious angle. But the question is, if our religious leaders that want to go through them,
And
if they are
ones
the
even
perpetrators, so what are they
perpetrating
going
it.
to do? And for those that happen, I've had so many cases in churches that the pastor will want to hide it. One, because you don't want the name of your church to be mentioned. As much as we talk about confidentiality cannot be 100% guaranteed, except if you don't want to do anything. And it's the fact that we are not doing anything that this thing
That
keeps
things
happening.
continue to happen.
I kept saying it. Let's be doing what the law says. You see that this thing will reduce. Some people will come and give you the excuse of they have mental issues. I said yes, agreed. You have mental issues, but let the person that has mental issues be locked up in Okekura. We will now see if another person that has mental issue
will not
control his
him,
mental.
him or herself.
Do you understand?
And here I want to talk about the law. I mean, I made mention of the fact that during my introduction that we have VAP 2015, and how much of effectiveness has that been in addressing some of the domestic violence cases that perhaps might have been brought to court, and how extradition, the kind of the system, the pace at which some of these law even take its course, how much of effectiveness have we seen in this course?
See, before I became a lawyer, I usually see the law as being biased. But when I became a lawyer, I saw a lot of things. Now, the law is structured in a way that it is what you present before the court that the court will give to you. And that's why most times people will come to say, oh, the court is being biased. For instance, there's a rape case I'm handling. When that incident happened, I was called into it about 20 minutes after the 11-year-old girl was raped. And when I got to the hospital, the clothes and everything, bleeding and everything. And I told the family, please keep all this. This will be our evidence in court. You know, they watched it.
Hmm.
Now we started this case in court. That is an evidence that has been destroyed. So most times when we see that our especially on sexual abuse cases,
Mm.
when we see that our law, it's as if the law is not doing the right thing, is because the evidences have been
Not
destroyed.
destroyed.
So I think our advocacy should go, our sensitization should go more on how people should protect these evidences. But I can tell you in Ilorin, in the last 1 year, for the cases that we have and we have evidences on ground, we are actually getting justice.
Mm.
In the last 1 year, we've gotten more than 10 convictions.
Wow.
In Ilorin.
Interesting. But how much of amplification have we had in terms of this as regards some of these convictions? Perhaps, as it is expected, it should serve as deterrence to others. Because maybe this is the position where, I mean, this is the situation. I mean, this is a point where the media also needs to come in. How much of amplification are we having in terms of this kind of this conviction that we've had? Because I must say that it is surprising to me that against the unpopular opinion, that sometimes you don't have it, you don't always have the court, delivering judgment on this thing on a pace that everybody expect. Because the moment case drags on, people begin to lose interest. How much of amplification have we had on the convictions rate, as you said?
Yeah, for the VAP in Kwara, there's a lot that needs to be done. For Ekiti, Osun, and some other states, there's what we call sexual offenders register. But the way their law is being done is in a way that the moment they are even picking you,
Mm.
before the court gives judgment, your picture goes to the public. So when the court gives judgment, your picture goes to the public.
The moment the court gives
Be,
judgment.
before the court gives you, the moment you are being arrested for rape and it starts, your picture goes to the public that this person has been arrested. Now when the judgment comes again, there's what we call sexual offenders register. In our law in Ilorin, it does not allow it to go public. So that's another thing. Yes, when we have a law, we can't have it 100% perfect.
Yeah.
So those are few lacunas that we need to
Does
work
that call
on.
for an amendment?
Yes, it calls for an amendment. The reason why that is necessary, because no matter how terrible someone is, no one wants their face in the public.
Yeah.
No matter how terrible you are, no one wants your face
In the
for
public.
bad in the public. So imagine for every conviction we have, we make it public. You see, you get to some courts that the judges will tell you that they don't even want the media in.
Mm.
I don't see the reason for that. Why would you say you don't want the media in? Because they don't want the media to make it public. You understand? So imagine if we have that in our law, our sexual offenders register being made public.
Mm.
By the time there's a conviction, it goes public. The family of the perpetrator sees him. The family of the victim sees him. Every other person. Now, another perpetrator in a corner that has been eyeing another potential victim sees that in public and thinks twice. Of course, it's not something that we expect that is going to happen overnight like that.
Yeah.
But gradually, there's going to be a change. So there's a need for an amendment in our violation against persons prohibition law for Kwara
Well,
State.
there's going to be a change gradually, and of course, gradually, I want to also say that you can join the conversation by making comments on our social media handles, on Facebook, on Instagram, on on X, formerly Twitter, and on TikTok. Yes, the conversation continues, and we have in the studio Barrister Antonia Oshinewe. I will go for a short break now. When we return, I will be rounding it up. Don't go away. All right, welcome back. We are trying to. We've been talking about domestic violence in Nigeria and the way forward. I mean, this is not really synonymous to any part of the country. I mean, it's a general problem. It's a menace that is really affecting our society. And I want to ask you now, it is a societal problem, and anything that is societal will perhaps need collaboration. How much of collaboration do we really need to put on table, or do we really need to uh, put together and facilitate, whether from traditional institutions, whether from religious institutions? As you said, there are always challenges to deal with, especially when we are trying to break a new ground. So how much of collaboration do you think we need to be able to address this particular big elephant in the room?
Thank you. I think the first thing is the political will. It is
Okay.
very, very important because as as high as these cases are,
Mm.
we don't have safe space for the survivors, and that is a big challenge. If you are picking somebody away from an environment
Mm.
because the person has been abused, either physically, emotionally,
Or sexually.
economically, or sexually, and you don't have where to keep that person, you are returning that person to that environment. That's another thing that causes for stigma. So that's why most people even like, why would I talk? So we need the political will, which is number one. Then, like you rightly said, we need our religious leaders. We need to make them understand. It is not about being a stain to your religious organization.
Mm.
The fact that you are even coming out to say, one of my followers have done this, I kick against it. To me, I believe is even a plus for you. Instead of you saying, oh, I don't want my name to come out, I don't want
Mm.
my religious organization name to come out.
Mm.
The fact that you are even coming out to say, oh, one of my followers have done this.
Mm.
And of course, we have the NGOs on ground. The NGOs are always there to collaborate, but what the NGOs can just do little.
Yeah.
I can always go out and rescue a child, but the question is, where do I put the
Where do I
child?
put it? Well, the question is, where do I put it? And we have a question on our Facebook page. This is coming from Aroshat Islamic Media Outlet. What can we do to curb relatives raping minor and avoid stigmatization at the same time? That is one of the questions. The second question is saying that update on a Sinro Gujo issue. Are you still pursuing the case? Well, I think you should answer the first one first.
Okay, yes. The first thing we need to do is we need to get the perpetrator, and the whole family has to support the survivor. It is not blaming a girl or a woman that, oh, it is because of you that they now imprisoned baba so 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 so. That's the challenge we have now. 11-year-old girl has been raped. The girl came out to talk, and instead of you all coming around to support the girl, we are blaming the girl for allowing the uncle that had raped her to be jailed.
Mm.
So it is a collective issue. Let the whole family put hands together. I once had a case that the man was like, it was the man's brother, and the man was like, I don't care,
Mm.
let him face the wrath of the law. So if we could have people like that, let the perpetrator face the wrath of the law, and let the whole family support the victim, you will see that we have more victims to come out, because they know that they have support from their home, not stigmatization.
Yeah, well, I believe that maybe the second question you don't really have any comment about it,
I don't have, because
uh,
I'm not even following it.
because and then of course we have check our website for updates on that particular case, and you definitely see it. And I want to ask you on the before we round up that now at the center of all this conversation is education, orientation, and sensitization. What you are on the front line, and what kind of education and sensitization are we supposed to be having, especially at this point in time? Because I personally don't really believe that this is a problem that we cannot solve. I mean, this is not a problem that I believe is a problem that can be brought to the nearest barest of the minimum. What kind of education are we supposed to be having? What kind of orientation are we supposed to be having and sensitization at this point in time?
Just 2 weeks ago, my team went to an Islamic school to sensitize them on gender-based violence. So I think the first thing is we need to understand the gender-based violence, because you will find it so funny that some people don't even see some of it as gender-based violence.
Mm.
They feel it's a norm. So it is when you understand gender-based violence, That's where stakeholders come on board. We make the stakeholders understand gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Then let's launch into our communities. Let's launch into our religious organization, our schools, and if the education curriculum can even allow it, it would actually be a good thing, because by the time the children understand gender-based violence, even as children from primary school level, when someone is trying to do something to you, you understand. But you find out that even we have 12-year-old that does not even know that what they are doing to him or her is wrong. I have a 13-year-old that the father was harassing her, and she said, I felt my dad just like me. The man will pick her and
So
start
you believe
touching
that it is
her.
not because it is because she doesn't have the
It's because she
education.
doesn't have the education. So if our Ministry of Education can co-opt it into their curriculum, so aside what we do outside, it's something they are even being taught in school. Of course, we have abusers also among the teachers. So imagine where it's being taught in school. The teachers will also have to curb themselves,
Yeah,
because they will know that the children already knows their right from their wrong.
from their own.
So it's something we need to really go to the grassroots, start from our children. And the kind of children we have nowadays, when you hear a 2-year-old talk, you will be surprised. So they would understand. It just has level that they would understand.
Well, it has level, and it is because of level that I would say that our time is fast spent, and my producer is already has given me some signals. Marista, thank you very much for coming this morning
Thank you for having
for
me.
today, and I definitely believe that you have been here before. But this is certainly going to be the first of many. I mean, this is a digitally refurbished
Yeah.
studio, and I'm saying it now live and direct that we are open to partnership on, where the fight against domestic violence, gender-based violence is our responsibility. And I want to tell you that the Informative 7 television will definitely be ready and willing to use all the channels and platforms that we have to amplify this and to make sure that we are able to defeat this very big elephant in the room. And thank you very much once again. Our viewers, audience, that's going to be the size of our package this morning. We've been speaking to an human rights advocate, Barrister Antonia Oshinewe, and we'll be talking about domestic violence in Nigeria. And of course, my own personal message is that if you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. And of course, you have to say it to the right channel. You have the security agencies and you have the government officials around you that you can confide in. And of course, the NGOs are there, like the one that Barrister Oshinewa is doing. My name is Yemi Sodiq, and I'm saying bye bye for now. Thank you very much.